Welcome back to Padel on Tour. My name is Filip Björne and we are in the middle of the heart of Padel in Buenos Aires. In this episode we'll meet Padel legends, talk about the early Padel boom in Argentina and visit some old original cement courts. Here the world's best players started. We're in Buenos Aires, the capital of Argentina and the largest city in the country. Argentina is the second biggest country in South America and the largest Spanish-speaking nation in the world by area. The national sport here is pato, a horseback sport played in teams of 4 that combines elements of polo and basketball. But the most popular sport is football, which has brought us stars like Diego Armando Maradona and Lionel Messi. But we're here for the padel. Alongside Spain, Argentinians are in the top ranking in the world with names such as Juan Martín Díaz, Sancho Gutiérrez and Martin Dineno. And of course, El Rey, the boss himself, Fernando Belasteguin. We will travel to his hometown later in this episode. But first we meet up at Racket Club in Buenos Aires. Bela siempre ha sido una estrella de pádel.
Él ya destacaba de chico. De hecho, ese torneo que vamos... lo ganamos porque él destacaba, yo tocaba la paleta muy poco, solamente porque era el boom del pádel en ese momento y él ya hacía diferencia en esa edad.
We learn more about the first paddle boom in Argentina during this trip, and to do so, we are going to spend a lot of time at and around La Rural, a large expedition center and a farming show, as well as the yearly spot for the World Padel Tour. The paddle tournament used to be held outside, but because of the uncertainty with weather, it moved indoors a few years back.
This place is beautiful, 150 years, I think, and the first tournament in Buenos Aires was here.
So we are in the middle of the heart of Padel in Buenos Aires, right?
Yes, of course, yes. You know that Mexico was the place where Padel was created. But then Argentinian guys, they start playing. They were the first professionals that we have. In Argentina, we have 30,000 clubs of padel, so it's a very important place.
Last year it was no tournament here in Buenos Aires. What does it mean to have a tournament here again?
Oh, for the people, it's so important. 2 years with no tournament. Yeah. In Argentina because of the pandemic. So this tournament, it's very special. Players, the crowd, we were all waiting for this moment. The Argentinian guys, most of them, they are from here. So for them to come to Argentina and to play with the families, the friends, it's so special.
So when did you start playing paddle?
Well, I think I started in 1984, 83. I was 24 years old when paddle started in Buenos Aires. A lot of tennis players that for different reasons left the tennis career. We changed to paddle. In that times, it was growing very, very fast here. And we also start to travel to play against other countries in South America and against Spain and Mexico. It was a romantic area, the beginning of the professional game. We play for money, but it was not like today.
You are also the Mr. Bandeja with the paddle people.
Well, of course, when we play in those years, all the strokes that you see today do not exist in that moment. Like a bandeja or the víbora or the rulo or the dormilona.
How is it like to see everybody use your techniques and everything?
It's really not an invention because nobody knows if in Spain at the same time another guy is doing the same. So they said always that to me because I'm a friend, I'm my friends, but maybe in different places someone is doing, because maybe I copy that from an amateur player that has a víbora smash and plays in third division. Yeah. I say, oh, that's useful. I'm going to do that. Anyway, it's fine. It's nice when someone do a dormilona. It's nice to see that.
Of course. We're about to leave the city center of Buenos Aires for a moment and travel southwest to the small town of Pehuajo. Driving 5 hours, we find a town most Argentinians know from the kids' show about the turtle Manuelita. Here, the world's best players started with paddle. Let's go inside. In the backyard of a family home, the first paddle court in Pehuajo was built in the 80s. The first court that Fernando Belasteguin was playing, he started playing paddle here, Pehuajo. Muchas horas aquí, Fernando. Por Fernando,
Muchas
¿sí?
horas. ¿Cuántas horas estaba? No me acuerdo.
Y venía después de almorzar hasta las 6 de la tarde.
6 de la tarde. ¿Cada día? ¿O? Todo el día. So he was here every day, she says.
Hicieron la primera cancha de pádel por el año 88, 89 y justo yo vivo a 150 metros de donde hicieron la cancha, que es en la sede del club. Y como te decía antes, teníamos una vida que estábamos todo el tiempo haciendo deporte. Entonces salía del colegio y hacía pádel y hacía fútbol. Y ahí empecé. Y yo me di cuenta muy rápido que con el pádel tenía la posibilidad de viajar por Argentina y con el fútbol era muy difícil porque los equipos buenos de Buenos Aires venían a buscar a los que hacían goles y yo era un defensa central muy duro. Así que ahí lo conocí al deporte hasta que con 15 años hice mi debut profesional y han pasado 27 años de eso.
El pádel nació acá más o menos alrededor de los 90, 88 por ahí. Y después hubo un furor, ¿se entiende? Una moda. Cuando esa moda murió, los clubes murieron. Entonces fue una época de pádel muy floja, ¿no? De poca gente que jugaba. Y bueno, por eso nos caracterizamos mucho con los jugadores de competencia, porque acá armamos partidos.
Y háblame con el boom de pádel, creciendo mucho aquí en Argentina.
Y sí, hoy en día está creciendo muchísimo. De hecho, se están armando muchos clubes nuevos. Y eso, bueno, le hace muy bien al deporte, ¿no? Le hace muy bien al deporte.
We're now in the Quilmes, in the south of Buenos Aires.
Yeah.
And you grow up very close from here?
Yeah, like,
This is your club, right?
yes, it's like five minutes from my house.
This was the first court in Quilmes.
With glass and grass, it's the first court and it's only like 2-3 years ago.
Are the people used to the glass or the...
No, in the beginning the people didn't like it too much because they used to play in cement. But then people started to watch pro tournaments and started to like it. And now I think most of the people want to play in this kind of courts.
Yeah. What have the club meant for you in the paddle career?
It was very important because I played a lot of matches here. Yeah. When I was younger, I used to play like 2 or 3 times a week here. Maybe I used to train in other clubs, but here I played the most matches I played here.
How is that different compared to those you're playing in the World Padel Tour?
There are a lot of difference. Maybe paddle here is too much faster. I think technique has to be different too. So it's very different to play here than in the courts we used to play.
In what way the techniques?
Yeah, the techniques, because here the ball goes faster and slides more. So maybe you don't have to, the technique changes a little, because you don't have to do like the perfect technique, because whatever shot you do, if it goes fast, it's okay, because always go and slice. In the grass, you have to do it with a good technique, because if not, the ball goes up.
How was it to organize matches when you were a kid?
Well, here in Argentina, they used to call us to come and play. Maybe they call you and they tell you, okay, can you play on Monday at 7? Okay, and then he calls another guy and makes the same. That was the only way to make matches, because it was difficult to reach for guys to play.
Yeah. So they call you from the club, and
yes,
then you have to go here, and you didn't know who you were playing against? Or?
They had like a book, and then he called some guys that were from the same category, and then he did it.
So how many hours have you done practicing on this court?
Here in this court, too much.
Too much.
Yeah, too much matches.
The padel here in Argentina, what does it mean to people?
Padel in the 90s, it was a very important sport, but in that years the padel didn't grow up anymore. So the last years started to grow up again. It will become one of the most important sports in the country.
I always think that padel was a great sport, and that the whole world will play someday. It will be a global sport.
Yo creo que el pádel no es ajeno a la evolución de la vida misma. Hoy haces una reunión virtual con una persona que está en la otra punta del mundo, y el pádel no ha sido ajeno a la evolución. Y yo creo que los que quieren mantenerse en la elite tiene que ir adaptándose a la evolución. Han hecho cambio las canchas, las paletas, las pelotas, los jugadores, la alimentación, la preparación física, como todo. Vos ves hoy el deporte que sea y no es el mismo deporte que hace 30 años atrás, hasta incluso que el mismo deporte que hace 5 años atrás. Pero no me cabe duda que lo que tenemos hoy va a ser muy diferente a lo que vendrá en el futuro. Entonces, los que quieran ser competitivos en el deporte que sea se van a tener que ir adaptando a la propia evolución del deporte, que es la evolución de la vida.
Really one of padel's most important and influential countries with many memories. To be able to meet the man who gave his name to one of the most important strokes in the sport, the bandeja. To hang out with Lucho Capra at his hometown in Quilmes, and to see where the man who has meant the most to the sport, Fernando Belasteguin, took his first steps on a paddle court. I wonder if the sport has taken off the way it has around the world without Argentina. I don't think so. You can feel the passion around the sport in the people we met during our trip to the country. Argentina is paddle, and paddle is Argentina.